Here are your gap and go trades for the week of October 7th through the 11th. I will go over price targets on the 5-minute time frame, have a gap recap from September 30th through October 4th, and update the chart as well. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is Sofi. We ended the week at $8.39, up 7.15%. To the north side from where we are takes us to another level of resistance and a potential take profit area at 851 and above that at 865. To the south side, back at the middle of the trend and the baseline, and from where we are, support and a potential buy-in area, $8.13. Below that, roughly 787, 774, and 761. Looking left, this gap is still in play to the downside. That will take us to roughly 747. And that gap opened up on Friday, September 13th. So it again is still in play. So watch out for that. We are not in the channel, not in the zone, and not even close, because on the 5, we are in an upward channel still. And this gap opened up on Friday, taking us down to roughly 785. And this gap that opened up on Friday, September 27th, is no longer a threat to our account to the south side. There are other threats, of course, just not this one. Closed out again at 777, fell down even more towards support and then a bounce. And this gap is still in play to the upside. Option Z there if you make a mistake and want to reset what you just did. And this will definitely touch on Monday should we continue to go upward as we are right now. And the next gap will fill at 968, not in the target, not in the zone, not in the channel, not even close, just something to be aware of to the upside. But should we continue to go up, this could touch on Friday. So I take it back that we're not close. By the end of the week, if that's close to you, that could be a possibility because we are going up. Ignore all my pink lines. Those are my previous buy-in lines. The green line is my previous take profit line. And you can see this nice upward channel making higher highs. And speaking of higher highs, I will mark out the middle of the trend for this week. So we're looking at from here to here. The middle of the trend is right here. So close to this line, and that was the week of September 23rd. We've been sort of going all over the place with Sofi. So this is where we are right now. And then the previous week we were here. So that is an increase from the middle of the trend to right now is roughly 2.51%. But let me erase that. From here, just last week, the low and the high right here takes us to 10.74%, and we are up 7.15%. Next one, let me move along quickly here. Tsla. We ended the week at $250.08, up 3.91%. Again, all I'm tracking is from this period to this period, and we are in a downward channel on the 5 still. First, your price targets to the north side, 252.65. That's one level of resistance, many levels in between. 256.98, 261.46, 243.82, 234.99, 230.66, and 226.26. Turn on your Bollinger Bands, your VWAP, draw your trend lines, play your patterns, whatever you like to do to kind of fill in this middle gap. But I like to play just between -2 and 2 on the more conservative side. Let me mark out the middle of the trend, and that is right here. Last week we were right here, and so we are still going down here. All right, looking at the gaps, we've got this gap to keep in mind. That will take us to roughly 201.63. This gap, a threat to our account to the south side. This is a landmine here. You got to be careful. 216.62. And this one, that could fill if we continue to go down, maybe on Tuesday. Monday, Tuesday-ish. All right, and then let's take a look at this gap. We touched here at 239, and we fell down a little bit more, but hit support and then a run up. Past the middle of the trend, this becomes resistance, busted through that, and then could not quite make it up to here and fell back down to support. On the way down, it becomes support. So this gap opened up on Monday the 23rd and ended on Thursday. So congrats if you played that and made some money. And this gap is still in play to the downside. I have no idea where it's going to touch in the upcoming week or weeks. That's why you just drag it and then just leave it alone. Roughly there, 241.13. We could hit that line and then bounce off of that. This will turn into support as well as these other lines that I have marked out. So this gap is still in play to the upside. And that started on Wednesday. As far as the next gap to the upside, we've got this one that will take us and close out at roughly 291.06. See, unfortunately, it appears that maybe we're just retracing all the way back down here. We've got to close these gaps to the south side, rip off the Band-Aid, just slam us down, and then hopefully we can bounce. But this would be potentially a target to buy in if you are sitting on the sidelines, possibly. All right, the next one is Tsly. I'm in all three of these. Option R there to reset. I like to write down sometimes the end of the day price. That way, if I don't play the deviations, I can just look at price and say, you know what, 1405 looks like a great spot. And if I can buy anywhere below that, then now is the time. Look at 1272, up 3.58%. Oh, I forgot to put well, I did put this line, but wait a minute. Maybe I didn't extend it far enough. Yeah, there it is. All right, I'm looking at this period to this period within the week, and we are still in a downward channel on the 5. First, I will give you price targets. Resistance, 1290, 1329, and 1368. To the south side, 1213, 1135, 1096 and roughly 1057. Let me mark this. We are right here at the middle of the trend for the week. And last week, did I mark it? Yes, we were up here and we're right here now. And that is a decline of 14%. But yeah, I mean, your only potential, we were chopping sideways and then just fell down to here to support. But if you did a little trade from here to here, that's resistance, take profit area. From here, going back up, this will be resistance too. But look at this gap. Turn on my magnet. From here to there is a retracement. And when did that open? That opened up on Thursday. I'm just going to make a note for myself. Thursday, October 3rd. It flushed down, so we're going to gap back up and fill. So this is now the new target. All right. So as far as the gaps go, this opened up on Thursday. We carry it into the upcoming week. And then we've got this one as well. And that will take us to roughly 14.13 whenever there's a correction. And now I'll clean up my previous gaps. Wait, one more to extend. That will take us down to roughly 12.29. Watch out for that. Oh, wait, no. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. We gapped up and then we'll fill down. I'm sorry, I was looking at this one. I got to clean up this one. So what happened? So this touched right here on Thursday, the 3rd, and that gap has been in play to the south side since September 10th. So this is no longer a threat to our account. Clearly there are other threats. And this one that I mentioned, or did I mention, takes us to 1367. And this one touched right here. It's hard to tell, but because this is the gap line, so we touched it, no longer a threat to the south side at 1313. It fell down even more all the way to here. Nasty fall. But what goes down must come up. What goes up must go down. But sometimes you got to get down to get back up again. And hopefully that's what we're doing with Tsla and Tsly. So this is done 1313, and that gap has been in play since the 17th of September. So this is how you go through and methodically clean up your chart. So that's done, because these gaps can also turn into another level of support and resistance or a potential retracement area. All right, so I need to clean up this one as well. Okay, and that touched right here. So that's done. And this gap, let me just flip this to the 15 so you can see it better. All right, so we have this big gap here at 1437. I thought about possibly selling out, but I didn't, and I got bamboozled again. Should have done it. It's like Sofi. You just think, oh, it's going to continue to run. No, it's going to slam right back down and get bought up and you could buy back in. So take your profits when you can. Sometimes that's how I feel about that, unless you're doing long-term investing, in which case I just do that through an ETF, typically, except for Microsoft and Apple and Tesla that I have, and Palantir. Everything else, I just buy and sell. Delete 1437, and that gap started on August 6th. Wow. August, September, what was that? September 27th. Okay, so that's done. So I've cleaned everything up on Tsly. And let me just reset that. And wait, why did I mark? Oh, I have the wrong line. Oops, I marked this out as the middle of the channel. So I am deleting that. The middle of the channel is right back where we were previously at 1317. But I'm just going to mark, I have to remove this, it gets wonky. Let's just do that. And the previous week was here. Still in a downward channel. All right. That's the 15. So now I will go back to the 5. Next up, oh, I want to do something. I did mark out the middle of the trend on Tsly. And then Tesla, I just did, excuse me, Tesla and Tsly. Now it's bowing. Now here are your price targets. So to the upside, 155.73. And notice that we are at resistance. Obviously, we can continue to go up, but we are in this level where I anticipate a pullback as people take their profits and they run, they will lock in and they will leave. So we will go down, and we are going down in the channel and then bounce off one of these support lines. So I'll just give you that and then flip it over to the different time frames so you can get different levels. So back down is 154.68, 153.64, 151.55, 149.46, 148.37, and 147.33. We've got this gap that just formed. Turn on my magnet. We gapped up, so there will be a gap down when it fills. This opened up on Friday, October 4th. And there's a mini one, but that already filled. I never really track those. So I will clean this gap up. Notice right out of the gate last week, it filled immediately on Monday to the downside at 152.31, wicked down, and then ran back up. And then here, support, support, support with the buy-ins. And then there was this gap, and then we touched to the upside at 156.06. And now we're just stair-stepping our way back down again. The stock has been nasty. All right, the middle of the trend and the baseline is right there for this week. And last week we were here. So we're going from here to here. Going to possibly chop around. See, look, we are stair-stepping our way down. These are previous middle of the trend weeks where the yellow lines are. And the next gap to the north side that I am tracking will take us to 169.50. That seems like a long ways off since we're going down. The next one is CVS. And all right, first your price targets. The middle of the trend and the baseline, 64.94, 66.10, 66.76, 67.36, 63.72, 63.11, and 62.50. This gap opened up on Friday, so that could just fall down on Monday and then close it out and then bounce. But the two standard deviations could touch this, but to close it out, I don't know, since this is going up. All right, so that is in play to the downside, 63.01-ish. Let's talk about this gap, still in play, a threat to the south side. Watch out for these landmines here. Now this one touched on Tuesday, no longer a threat. 61.45 went down to support, bounced back up. And then this one touched out of the gate on the 30th. So that is done. Oops. Got to be careful where you put your cursor. Let's flip this over to the 15. So this gap started on July 31st. Wow. Finally done. Good Lord. All right. Delete, delete, delete. All right. And then we have this gap is the next target at 67.70. And will we touch this during this period? We are in an upward channel, but on Monday, I don't think so, unless we wick with a candle up and then it'll get sold off. And if it does, wonderful. Could we touch this maybe on Wednesday? Maybe Wednesday if we continue to go up. That would be lovely. Delete that. And the middle of the trend is here. Last week it was right here. So that is a return of 6.5%. And on the day, on Friday, we were up 2.65%. Delete. All right, so that's done. Next is Intel. Back to the 5. Here are your price targets. Oh, did I mark the middle of the trend? I guess I did. All right, that is the middle of the trend, 64.93, 66.14, 66.77, 67.37, and 63.70. That will start to tickle the gap to the south side, and it basically closes out right here around 63.01-ish, and then 62.49. This will be a bounce. You'll see a bounce here, a potential bounce here, and a potential bounce here. And looking left, let's talk about this bottom one first. So this is still in play. That's still in play to 59.08. This gap here closed out. Why do I feel like I've already done this, but I didn't? Oh yeah, I did, because hello. Oh, I'm so sorry. I meant to say Intel. I'm like, I feel like I've already drawn these, except this one was sloppy. That needs to be fixed. Okay, Intel. I don't want to do my work twice. 2275, 2296, 2318. The middle of the trend and support in this situation, roughly 2233. So if we continue to go down, it'll follow this path possibly. Or if we go sideways, this could be the middle of the trend. 2192, 2170, 2149. Wow, look at this nice long wick. Sometimes I'll put a buy order in, down to -4 standard deviations and think, okay, if I get filled, wonderful. It's a great opportunity, and that's why I do it. Daily price action may not get you there, but the wicks do. All right, those were your price targets. There's a little gap here that will take us down to 2104. Let me just mark it out. It's a small one, but still to the south side. Well, look at that. Nope, upon closer examination, it's actually bigger than I thought. There you go. So we gap down. Oh, this filled right here. Look at that. And then this touched right here to the south side. That closed out already at 2081. Cleaning up the chart here, we gap down, so then this will fill up. So I got to change that to indicate an upward pattern. So that took us to 2112. Just cleaning up the chart. This one is still in play. This thing has given us whiplash. All right. And to the upside, that will take us to roughly 2904. But look at this. We are going down on the 5 still. Are we just retracing this all the way to get slammed down and then reverse? Possibly. Just take it a week at a time for your swing trade. All right, the next one is, oh, yeah. Wait a minute. Okay. Neo. $6.97, $7.11. Haven't been to that place in a long time. $7.25, $6.67, $6.39, $6.24, and $6.09. Okay, that's the middle of the trend and the baseline. Could we chop around here or use this as support and then a bounce? We'll see. Or these will be your support lines as well. Many levels of support and resistance. Don't forget that. So we have this gap. Let's see, that was 608. So we've got this gap to 580. And then this gap, 567 and 534. We had a good week, even though we're going down, but here are some peaks for you. So it looks like maybe we're just reversing course. Boom, close this out, and then potentially run. Potentially run. Fingers crossed. All right, so this is the middle of the trend, and last week was this. So we went from here to here, though. That's good, even though overall we're going down. All right. Oh, let's clean up this one. So we touched here out of the gate on Monday to 716. Delete, no longer in play. Didn't quite make it to 791. We attempted, but no cigar. Right? And above that, 798 as well, I think. Or is that the price target? I don't know. I have to look at that later. But we've got many landmines to the south side. A lot to watch out for. Apple's been whipping us around too. All right. 227, 228, 229.03, 225.08, 223.07, 222.15, and another level of support, 221.12. You get a drink of water. This gap is still in play to the south side, taking us down to 221.07. And this gap touched to the south side, right there, at roughly 228. That's done, thank goodness. This gap is still in play to the upside. $232.19. And what is going on with this one? That will take us up to $234.61. I think that's it. All right. So we are at 82.25, 83.81, 85.47, 87.18, 80.65, 77.38, 75.76, and 74.10. Now, the middle of the trend is back at 80.49-ish, where we were previously, but I'm just going to mark that out right about there. Right, and last week, where were we? Up here. So look at this. Look at this, going down, and the channel itself is going down. Let's clean up. Look at all we're doing, it seems like, is retracing this level. And if we get to this level, I definitely will anticipate a bounce. Okay. And this gap to the upside is still in play. These were my previous support and resistance lines, and I don't mark that anymore. All I'm doing going forward is basically marking out the middle of the trend. That was my stomach, if you could hear it growling. I just ate a PBJ too. I'm obsessed with PBJs lately. Okay, and then we had the earnings there on October 1, and we've sort of been going sideways since. We dropped down, so that's why, oh, and this one is still in play. And NEO had earnings too, right there. So the reported was negative. The estimate in the negative too, but the surprise was 0.044 or 14% return. They reported 2.713 billion. The estimate 2.732 billion. Negative at 19.146 million. And look at that. So here was the earnings. We went up on the euphoria and then back down. So I just did Nike. What else? Rivian. All right. 1065, 1082, and 11. To the south side, 1031, 997, and 980. 963. So this gap needs to be cleaned up. So again, remember when I extend, I just move the cursor. Don't know where it's going to end up. It touched right there on Monday out of the gate. So this is no longer a threat to our account to the south side. There are other threats, just not this one. Still going down on the 5. And I think that's it. Yep. And the other ticker that I will do a video on is mRNA. That one hit a 52-week low that I noticed. So I'm very interested in that one as a long-term play for myself, a swing trade. But that does it for me. That is a look at my 44th gap and go video. And I will work on some other tickers for you to look at. But thank you so much for watching and have a great trading week.